Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Church Web People discussion. Today is February 22nd, 2016, and we are going to be discussing a little bit about tithing and donation services. My name is David Needham, and we also have Pastor Dale Critchley here. Dale?
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So maybe just a quick introduction. Dale, do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm the pastor of youth, family, and evangelism at St. James Lutheran Church in West St. Paul, and which also includes the church website and online presence, social media, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I come in here.
Cool. And my name is David Needham. I work for Enjoy Creativity, where we help churches and ministries with all sorts of things on the web, including tithing and donations, web design, graphic design, and all that fun stuff. So I think one reason why we wanted to have this topic was because there are just so many options out there. There are a lot of people offering various donation tithing services, and Pastor Dale and I have had some experience with some of these, and we thought we'd kind of give some of our opinions about some that we think that work really well.
Yep.
Cool. Well, let me just jump right in then to the slideshow. All right. So before we get started talking about actual, like the actual services that we're talking about, I thought it'd be helpful to discuss a little bit about what a payment gateway is. So a lot of these services already have payment gateways built in, so you don't really have to worry about them. But essentially, if you're a merchant, if you have a storefront, if you are accepting payments by credit card or bank transfer, there's usually, or pretty much always, a payment gateway that sits between you and the person that's giving you the money. They will, if you have a storefront, they let you have the little checkout machine, the little swipe the credit cards. For example, Square is a great example of a payment gateway. They let you, plug right into your phone, accept credit card payments that way. And then in exchange for the ability to accept payments, they take a fee. Usually it's some sort of a monthly fee plus a transaction fee. Occasionally you'll be able to get through without any sort of monthly fee, like Square, for example. But if you use a service like a payment gateway, like one of the really, really big ones, it's often advisable to go with something like that because there'll be a monthly fee, but the transaction fees will actually be much smaller. So if you're processing hundreds or thousands of transactions in a month, sometimes looking at a much larger professional merchant account and payment gateway can be more cost effective because the transaction fees are much smaller. Typically, you'll see something like 2.5 to 4 or 5% plus 30 cents or something like that. So like I said, these aren't really things that we have to worry about with these services we're going to be talking about, but a lot of other ones do ask you to connect your own payment gateway.
This could come into effect if you're somebody in the church, the pastor self-publishes a book, and the church is handling that, or you have a bunch of Bible studies that you have available for sale or something like that. I think that'd probably be the biggest area that, where you're actually selling something.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
So, but yeah, the stuff that we're talking about tonight, it kind of has its own built-in gateway. So generally you don't have to worry about that, but just want to, if you're, doing your own research on this and you come across that, we wanted you to know what it was. Cause I remember the first time that David and I were talking about it, and I was like, wait, what? I had seen some stuff about it, didn't really know what it was. So thought good to know.
Yeah, definitely. And you'll see when we discuss these particular services that almost all of them include some sort of monthly fee plus transaction fee. Usually if there's a transaction fee tacked on to whatever service, then they already have the payment gateway built in. But occasionally you'll have to look for that and make sure that there's not just the monthly fee and everything else. They might expect you to connect your own payment gateway. So it's just good to know that that is a possibility.
Yep.
Great. So the first one we're going to be talking about is SecureGive.
Right. So I've taken two different churches, a very small church and a sort of medium-sized church, through adding online giving to the where we didn't have it before. Before that, it was cash and checks, and that was it. We did have we had a sort of paper giving where you could fill out a form, and but it was a real headache, and it was just to do automatic withdrawals from your checking account or whatever. But it was actually easier to just set it up with your own bank account instead. And so when we wanted to actually talk about getting allowing people just coming in off the street, and they want to give during the offering time, and they didn't bring cash, and who carries a checkbook anymore, and don't argue with me on that one, but people, I pay with checks all the time. All right, but anybody under 30 doesn't, probably under 40. But if we wanted to make this available to people, just to give them the option. And at both churches, we ended up going with Secure Give. Now, I do have the research that I've done on all kinds of these different companies that we're going to be talking about today, and many more, looking at the cost and things like that. And so we'll make a link to that available in the notes from this, so you can see the research. And in fact, there's a few sort of question marks that I have in there. And if you have any knowledge of those, any of the companies that are listed there would like to give more information for your entry, love to have that. But Secure Give has a lot of, it's an all-in-one service. They've got, you can have the text to give, text a certain number to a given number, kind of like what you see with like the Red Cross when there's a disaster and they say, text something to some number and automatically give $10 or something like that. They help you with setup promotion, so that, because when you roll this thing out, you need to have a way to get the information out to people and encourage them to use it and things like that. And so they offer some of that. It's not amazing, but they've got it. They offer Kickstarter style campaigns. If like say a building fund, you're doing a capital campaign, and you want to kind of keep track of how much is being given to that sort of thing, you can do that with Secure Give. They do recurrent giving. That is one that I would say is just a guaranteed, anything you go with, and most of them have this, but not all, that you really want that recurrent giving. And then we just figured out the fees, and we found that it was a really good, as far as the cost, which you can see on the slideshow.
Right. Yeah. So I haven't used Secure Give personally, but when I looked at their pricing tiers, I saw that they had several options to choose from. Starting at $29 a month and going all the way up to $139. The 3.95% transaction fee was just for the lowest tier. Once you bump up to the second or higher, it turns into I guess a tiered fee price where you pay. Is it based on a certain number of transactions?
I think so. Yeah. It's been a little while since, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the number of transactions. Okay. That's kind of what a lot of them work with. But there's also, with all of these, the numbers that we have in the spreadsheet give you kind of their basic, but a lot of them it's hard to even get pricing from them without doing some sort of a call or something like that to them, which can be kind of irritating sometimes if you're just shopping around. But so you definitely want to look at that, and they all offer different features. Like usually text to give costs extra. If you want ACH, that costs extra. Just the different features. You definitely want to look at that. The other thing with Secure Give that we really liked was the interface. I mean, you want, and as you look at the different fees and things like that, keep in mind that really the difference in the fees for most of these is pretty nominal.
Mm-hmm.
But what you really want to look at is how easy is it for people to use? Because if your fees are slightly lower of what you're paying per transaction, but then it's hard to use, and two people end up not using it just because it's not an intuitive interface,
Right.
then any money you saved on your fees, maybe even one person,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden that's negated. And so really the whole point of online giving is to make it as easy as possible for people. And so you definitely want to find something that's really easy to use. And SecureGive definitely has that. Now they offer other things like tablet, like kiosk kind of things and stuff like that. And you might find that useful. Or one of the things that we were talking about doing here is that if there's a demand for that, you can pick up like a $50 Android tablet, stick it inside of some kind of enclosure, and just make that available in your lobby or narthex, and just let people, just bring it up the website kind of thing there without having to pay to lease some what's really just a glorified tablet anyway.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. All right. Well, I totally agree with what you said about ease of use and making it really simple, kind of reducing friction for the person who's leaving donations. So maybe that's a really great segue into our next one, which is PayPal. I've used PayPal for a very long time as far as like accepting payments and donations online. It's kind of one of the giants. It certainly is the biggest option we have here, and one that pretty much everyone has heard of. And I'm going to talk about some of the things you already know. I mean, it's really, really easy to create an account and embed and kind of put it on your website. But some of the downsides include it's not always easiest to use. If you wanted to accept donations on your website, then you probably have a donate button or something like that. You click it, and then it takes you off of your website onto the PayPal website. And depending how you have it set up, maybe they have to log in in order to send the payment. And that's not exactly super user friendly. But the upside is that if you're not sure if online giving is really something you're super interested in, there is no setup fee. There are transaction fees for the basic PayPal account, but if you sign up to be a nonprofit, your transaction fees can be reduced. And then if you sign up for within the PayPal giving charity and you're a 501c3, then you can actually have all of your transaction fees waived for all donations made through a special form that they give you. So,
but that's only people that specifically they have to be logged into their PayPal account.
Right. Yep, and that is really the big bummer with PayPal. There are ways to embed a full form on your website to make it so that you don't have to go offsite to the PayPal website. But in most cases where PayPal would be the best option, you're probably going with there's no fees. It's kind of easy for you to set up, which again I think it's great for if you're trying to get a feeling for it, to make the option available, but without having to worry about any sort of monthly fees for something that someone's not using. It's good for the smaller organizations or smaller churches.
But don't let it be your sort of, well, let's see if it works with PayPal, and if and how much it catches on, and if it catches on, we'll go to something else. Because it might not catch on just because it's not real easy to use. Whereas if you have something that's easier to use, it'll catch on better. And you also want to consider if your people get frustrated trying to use PayPal, then you say, well, we're using something different now that's, that maybe has the bigger fees or whatever, but it's easier to use. But people might go, you know what? I tried online giving. It was a pain. Forget it. And they won't even try the second one. So you might have a little bit of an uphill battle there. But I mean, there are definitely times where PayPal, even if nothing else, if you run into people that are just really skeptical about online payment services and I don't want to put my credit card out there or whatever, On the one hand, you can kind of talk to them about which is more secure, using a secure website that's the same technology that the credit card companies themselves use and things, or handing your card to a waitress at a restaurant that takes it back in the back room. You have no idea what she's doing with it,
Right.
And so it's actually a lot more secure to do it this way. In fact, some restaurants are even moving to having a little tablet, right at the table or something like that. But the thing is, people recognize PayPal. It's, like David said, this is a well-known company. They've got a good reputation, and of any kind of online transactional kind of company, PayPal they're going to recognize before anyone else. I mean, it's owned by eBay, isn't it? Or did they sell it?
I think they recently broke off again.
So,
but they're partners somehow still. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hey, what about Kindred? What can you tell me about Kindred?
All right. So Kindred is, I don't think it's specifically owned by, but it's very closely connected to Life Church.
Mm-hmm. I think I think they spun off of Life Church, but they were born in the within their tech group.
So those of you familiar with the YouVersion Bible app's probably the most familiar thing that they have. And they've got just a whole bunch of different resources. Kindred was designed by Life Church for churches that don't have online giving, that want to get started, that want to keep it easy, and things like that. And the idea was that we really want to help churches to get online with their giving. And it's not the cheapest or anything like that, but it's definitely one to consider. It has, let's see, there's no setup fee. Their monthly fee is only $45. So it's not a big investment to get started with it. So it may not be as full featured as some of the others, but it's pretty easy to use. They have set up promotional materials available. One other thing, just before I forget, with any of these, if your church also has like a preschool or any other kind of school where you have tuition, you definitely want to consider whether your online giving platform can handle tuition payments.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
So yeah, that's big. And also you want to note whatever church management software that you use. You want to note how difficult is it to take these online payments and pull them into your church management software, or whatever it is that you're using to keep track of giving. And sometimes it's some of them they integrate, like you go into your church management software and it's either automatic or you just hit import or something like that, and boom, it just pulls it right out of the online database where it's stored or whatever. Other ones you'll get a spreadsheet emailed to you every week or something like that. And so depending what system you're using, you want to see how compatible that is. We just switched, or we're in the process actually of switching, and our church management software. And so we were looking at, one of the ones that we were looking at, the online giving systems, was actually it would integrate really well, but it was really expensive. We were having trouble with customer service with the company and things like that. And we just said, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not that tough. When we ended up going with Secure Give, it was easy enough to grab that information and pull it into our church management software. And we said, all right, then we'll do it that way.
Yeah, that's a really excellent point. Do you know if Kindred itself integrates with any particular?
I don't know.
System? Yeah, I saw that, their graphs and their kind of the detail that you can download from their interface looks like it's really comprehensive. But that's one area I haven't had to mess with yet. Yeah. That's really good to know. Yeah, I think I really like Kindred because I really do support the different kind of initiatives that the Life Church Technorati, I think is their team name, but their group like the YouVersion Bible, and they have various other kind of online services that churches can take advantage of totally for free. So the fact that by doing this with Kindred, we're potentially supporting them, it's definitely a plus.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Great. The next one here is Faithstreet. One thing I saw from theirs, this is another one I haven't used before, but they're kind of creating a sort of database of churches that I think anyone can go and sign up for just by simply going to their website and signing up. Looking at their website, it almost seems like the giving is sort of a backseat, or sort of like the next part. You can be in the database for free, but you have to pay for the giving. Have you used it before?
Yeah, Faithstreet, I think they're trying to be the go-to place when you move to a new community, or you're traveling or something like that, and so you find yourself for one reason or another in a new place, and you're looking for a church, and so they want to be the sort of global yellow pages of churches. And so, yeah, any church can get listed. In fact, if your church isn't, you definitely want to check them out, at least to get yourself listed there. It just makes sense because it's free. But then, yeah, and I think actually the giving is a fairly new thing that they've added within the past maybe year or so, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, interesting thing about Faithstreet is that the transaction fees are paid for by the donor. And which people may or may not, I have no idea what kind of reaction. In fact, I'd love to hear for anyone who's using Faithstreet or one of the other services where it's paid for by the donor. And I think the only one that I have listed is Faithstreet that actually does that. But I'd be curious about people's reaction to that.
Yeah, I agree. It certainly does seem like it would. I don't know. I would imagine that it would probably create a little bit of friction. If you put in, you want to donate $10 and it comes up to be, $11 or something. It probably makes sense. People will probably see it and acknowledge it and kind of keep going, and it probably makes sense. But I'm curious. I wonder if they have information about that on their website.
I think about it this way: if you say you get from some charity that you support, you get something in snail mail, and it's got a business reply mail envelope for your donation, right? How often do you put a stamp on that envelope? Because they're paying for the postage if you don't. And so if you put a stamp on it, then they don't have to pay and I've even seen envelopes from charities that say, if you put a stamp here, you're saving us having to pay for the postage. But I think, you know what? It is more inconvenient if I'm going to mail a check. It is more inconvenient to drop to slap a stamp on there, and I'm less likely to do it. I can't say that. I really don't know, because it's been a long time since I've supported a charity by snail mail.
Right.
Which, by the way, is another great reason to get online giving going in your church. But if you think about how often, and I guess it's a question that everybody who's watching this can ask themselves: would I put the stamp on or not? And that would probably answer your question about whether people are willing to pay the transaction fee for you.
That's a great point. Yeah, one thing I saw that was different about this one was that the pricing is based on the number of people, which I don't think that's something we talked about last time, but I know you and I have talked a little bit about this for the church management systems, and how sometimes it can be a real pain, to have systems like this that are based on the number of people.
Right, because you can have somebody give once, and then they're in your system.
Yep, that's true. It wasn't clear to me, based on the website, if it was number of people, like donations, if it changes every month, or if it's just based on the number of people that have ever given, that that are kind of in your database.
So yeah, definitely something to check into if you're looking into using Faithstreet.
All right. Well, the last one we have here is MoGive. It looks like the big focus with MoGive was trying to, they certainly do online giving, but the mobile, text to give seemed like their biggest selling point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things with MoGive is that there's no base fees. There's $5 a month for text to give, only on months when it's used. So this would be something if you wanted to have like a text to give kind of thing, but you only use it for, and they do have also like a website kind of thing too. But if you wanted to have something you only use for disaster relief, that when Haiti gets hit by a tsunami or something like that, or hurricane, whatever, and you only use it for something like that, then something like MoGive would be handy because you're not paying a monthly fee. You're only paying the months that you actually use it.
Yeah, I'm thinking specifically for this, like, you might have a couple of youth events throughout the year, and you want, people in the congregation to be able to help the youth get to somewhere. If you only use it 2 times a year, then you only have to pay the monthly, $5 just for the months that you use it. So yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Although the one thing I did see on their billing page that was not a red flag, but just something to be aware of is that if you must receive at least $800 a month in donations. If you don't, then you are charged a fee of, I think, $25 for that month. And I know, $800 might be really easy for some churches to get through. Other churches, that may not be possible for an online giving. So, and I know this is waived for either the first month or 2 months. So it's worth looking at and making
90
sure.
days.
90 days, even better. So you'd have a chance to try it out for 90 days and see if that is going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's definitely something that with any of these that you're setting up with, you definitely want to look at what most of them have the sort of early, not necessarily that the fees are waived for the first few months, but what kind of a contract are you locking yourself into with them and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is very true. And do you have that information on the spreadsheet you said that you compiled?
No, I don't, because I just thought of it.
It's okay, but yeah, we'll definitely link to to that in the online at churchwebpeople.com in our Google group for this particular discussion. So be sure to check that out if you're interested in seeing that spreadsheet and maybe even contributing if you have something to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So we do also have a few other honorable mentions from our community. Not all of these are exactly the same as the ones we just looked at. So Wufoo, for example, is great for creating forms. I know Josh Bartolomucci from Ministry Pixel really likes using Wufoo for each of his clients because he's able to create a form that's exactly to their specifications or for whatever event that they're looking to run. And then he has there's the transaction fees and all that stuff, and the monthly fees for Wufoo, but then he can see it all and the client can see it all from a dashboard and manage it all really well. So I've heard really good things about Wufoo. It's another one of those that I haven't used extensively enough, especially not with the payments. There's also JotForm, which is another one I don't have any experience looking at. Have you used that one before, Dale? Mm-hmm. No? Okay, well, FoxyCard is another one. I know FoxyCard is sort of like a shopping cart that you can embed into your website. You do have to connect to Payment Gateway, but their transaction fees for FoxyCard itself is very, very manageable for most small organizations as well as bigger ones. But it's really handy because you can, if you know a little bit of HTML, you can embed the cart into your website and even embed it into a simple link, a button, and then have it automatically go through and take care of all the technical details of the transaction for you. So they don't actually have to leave your website, which is really nice. And then GiveWP is another one. It's a plugin for WordPress. I haven't used this one either. Have you used this one, Dale?
I haven't. It's looks like it's basically a gateway that the nice thing about it is that it's free to use. You just have to pay for the plugin that connects it with the various other services.
Right, and I'm remembering that's like $100 or something like that for one site, or 150 or something like that for 5 sites, or
See the price.
it's something like that.
But I mean, if you're interested in it, check it out. It costs nothing to get the information.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and next month we're going to have a discussion. So far, we're going to say it's going to happen on Monday, March 21st. However, we're kind of in the process of, this is our second episode. We want to make this as accessible to people as possible. So, if Mondays don't work for you, or you want to, if another day of the week would be particularly good for you to take part in, feel free to go to churchwebpeople.com. There's going to be a topic there for you to discuss this, and a link to vote on the days of the week and times that work best for you. So please, if you're interested in joining us, just go to churchwebpeople.com and we can discuss it there.
Yeah. I just want to emphasize that while this kind of feels like just a couple people offering a show, really it's more of a community, and we would love to pull you in and get you involved. If you have stuff to share, we'd love your input. And if you're just here to learn, that's great too. But come and get involved. It doesn't cost anything to get involved. And but we just love all of the different perspectives that we get.
Most definitely. That's an excellent point. Yeah, you're right. So far it's been you and I that have been able to make it to the discussions and kind of put this together. But the intention here is for as many people as possible to come in and share their opinions about what we're saying and our what we have to share in our slides. But we are definitely a community of people trying to help as much as we can with churches on the web.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we have. These slides will be available through the churchwebpeople.com website, and this Hangout will be live. I guess it's currently live streamed, but it'll be available on YouTube if you search. You're probably viewing this right now if you're not joining us live right now. Yeah, but that's that. Do you have anything else, Dale?
No, that's all I've got. Thanks a lot for watching. We'd love your feedback. Feel free to, if you don't join the group, then definitely leave a comments or questions on YouTube or wherever you're finding this.
Definitely. All right. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next month.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.